Las Vegas may be America's ultimate party town, but it's also become home to the USA Rugby Sevens tournament and plays host to the first Sevens World Series event of 2014. Coming up, Vegas welcomes the rugby world. We catch up with rugby's fastest man, well, almost. And can rugby compete with American football? With 2 years until Rugby Sevens makes its Olympic debut in Rio, the US is launching a big campaign to boost awareness of the sport. And the arrival of the Rugby Sevens World Series here in Las Vegas was the cue for some lively scenes as the city staged the opening parade. In contrast to the razzmatazz of the opening ceremony, the blood, sweat and cheers of Rugby Sevens could be found in the Las Vegas Invitational, where youth teams, clubs, development sides and aspiring Olympic nations pit their skills against one another. On the sidelines, we found US team coach Matt Hawkins scouting for potential talent. Some interesting talent on display. How fun is it for you just to see if you can find some unearthed gem in there?
Well, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and it's a great opportunity for us as the coaching staff of the USA to have a look and see who these guys are. And you know, there is always an opportunity for them to end up at the training center, training with the guys that end up, you know, competing in the big stadium this weekend.
In recent years, Hawkins played his own part as captain of the US Sevens team.
I'll tell you what, young kids watching, it's all about being in the right position, and that's what Hawkins did.
And just a few metres away from him on the touchline, we found another former player, the Fijian superstar, Waisale Serevi.
Hey there.
He had brought his own team, the Serevi Selects, including the all-time leading Sevens point scorer Ben Gollings, to compete in the men's elite tournament, eventually going on to win the competition. Serevi's company is working to develop the future potential of rugby in the US.
The schools are like understanding what we are trying to do, giving us their PE classes, so we can go and demonstrate rugby, and then in the end say, kids, we have to stop. You have to go to your next class. And the kids say, no, we want to keep going. And you said, okay, you can come to our afternoon class. So that is the way we are trying to tap into those schools at the moment.
Nigel Melville is a former England captain who crossed the Atlantic to become head of the overall US rugby operation.
We've got millions of kids now, literally millions, playing the game of what we call rookie rugby, which is a non-contact game for boys and girls. And they're into schools, into after-school clubs, and those kids now are graduating through the system and coming up into our high school teams. Our high school teams are growing, our college teams are getting better, and our club teams will be the recipient of some great players going forward.
One man more than any other has helped to boost the profile of Rugby Sevens in recent years, not just here in the US, but worldwide. He's a sprinter who's used his devastating speed from the track to his advantage on the rugby field. And his name is...
I've been dubbed the world's fastest rugby player. I run 110.13. That's fast. I'm telling you, it's not slow. And not a lot of people can run 10.1, so it's fast. That would have got me to the semifinals in London in 2012. I came across rugby on the internet, and I was watching it, and the more I started watching it, the more I fell in love with it.
Isles contacted USA Rugby's CEO, Nigel Melville, who put him in touch with the coaching staff.
I spent time with him and talking to him rugby. He learns, he loves the game. And I talked to him about the width of defences. I've been talking to him about, you know, how the game works, how it operates, and the mechanics of the game. And he's a great student, and he's a pleasure to work with. He's a lovely guy, and he's doing some special stuff on the field.
It was pretty hard to adapt at first. There was a lot of things I had to know. And the more I kept going, I learned quickly, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But just reading the defense and things like that, it kind of took some time and, you know, seeing the field.
Before long, Carlin's performances were catching people's attention. A YouTube showcase of his scintillating speed was viewed more than 5 million times.
Watch Carlin Isles, watch Carlin Isles.
Among those viewers, coaches from the American National Football League, and at the turn of the year, it was revealed he'd signed for the Detroit Lions practice team.
If it comes down to the Olympics versus the NFL,
what are you going to choose?
Very difficult, man. Even just thinking about it, I've been stressed, you know, because, you know, it's a big decision. I have to choose wherever, you know, God want me to go. I guess I got to just listen to my heart, and that's the main thing, and just do things for the right reasons. And whatever's going to help me keep inspiring people and changing the game, that's my main thing.
He's quickest rugby player in the game.
But before that decision, the USA Sevens in Las Vegas presented a more immediate problem. We're right by the touchline here. This is where Carlin Isles operates, using his extreme pace to beat opponents on the outside. But it's harder here in Vegas because this is a converted American football field, 70 feet narrower than a rugby pitch. It means if something goes wrong and Carlin gets tackled out of touch, thank goodness they got padding up against the stands.
Carlin Isles, can he go? He will.
In the event, Isles still managed to find room to show his speed with this sensational try scored during the USA's narrow loss to Argentina.
Man, I was very excited about that try. I thank God for giving me the ability to do what I can do on the field. And once I beat the first guy and I beat the second guy and ran through that tackle, it was just pure excitement and joy. And whenever I get loose, man, the excitement and the feeling, you know, it's a feeling you can't describe. And I felt so alive, and I was so excited to get on and be able to do that.
Set, go. All of which made me feel a little better about my own efforts to beat the fastest man in rugby, at least for now. After the break, we'll try to bridge the gap between rugby and American football, two sports which haven't always seen eye to eye. Americans love their ball games. If they're not shooting hoops in basketball, they're hitting home runs in baseball or knocking the stuffing out of each other in American football. Throw soccer into the mix too, and can there really be room for rugby?
Although the British are a sports-loving people, there are things they don't understand about our sports. Listen, for example, to how one British reporter describes America's great pastime of football.
Men in golden and red helmets, like the crew of a spaceship, rushed on and off the field. Play seems a mixture of conjuring, sleight of hand, and human skittles, and was constantly stopped by referees.
These days, there's much less mystery about sports popular in different countries. And while the NFL has made American football famous throughout the world, Rugby Sevens has begun to make its mark in the US.
It's a lot more fun to me than the traditional American football or baseball or something like that. That's a lot more calm and collected. Or just one big play and then a break. I mean, it's constantly moving, and then there's tons of big plays all the time.
Miles Craigwell joined the US Sevens team after time spent with the Miami Dolphins NFL squad.
In football, it's really just 3 or 4 seconds of concentration, but in rugby, it's for the full 7 minutes. And, you know, you're hitting someone here, and you have to get up. You might have to hit the next person that has the ball. It's just continual play. Whereas football, you have water breaks, you have timeouts, TV timeouts, and then you go from offense to defense and vice versa. So you have to be skilled in both attack and defense, which is, you know, pretty different from football, whereas you might just focus on offense or you might just focus on defense. You know, in rugby, you have to have both.
Strategy is evidently based on this assumption. Nobody knows who's got the ball, so to be safe, knock down everybody in sight. The biggest pile of bodies indicates where the ball is.
Off the pitch too, Rugby Sevens is grabbing the attention of sports fans who have grown up on a diet of the traditional US team games.
How does it compare to American sports that you follow?
I think it compares real well. I mean, it's got a similar feel as American football, but it just goes. It just goes and goes and goes.
It's very easy to keep up with. It lasts short enough that I can, like, you know, stay into it the whole entire time.
There's no padding, no helmets, but they're not using them as weapons against each other either.
I mean, how often do you get to have beers with Kenyans and Fijians and Samoans and you know, Scots and Welsh and Canadians? I mean, it's fabulous. I mean, it's much more interesting than going to a generical, you know, football game.
He's actually studying sevens. He's getting a PhD, and that's his whole thing, is how to develop sevens.
And you learn to dress up like that?
Well, that's what they do in Hong Kong, Wellington, everywhere else in the world. So we're trying to bring it here to Las Vegas.
Who's got the hardest hit?
I say football because they're in helmet and shoulder pads, so people think they're invincible. But it's going to hurt on the rugby pitch as well because, I mean, you don't have any padding. It's flesh to flesh, so whatever is God-given to you and whatever you make in the gym is going to help you out on the pitch. So it's imperative that you work out, you lift, and, you know, go out there with your best suit on, pretty much. Best birthday suit on, at least.
Rugby, from which came our own game of football.
Rugby Sevens, a game invented in Britain, and now competing for attention with American sports on the other side of the Atlantic.
So you see, misunderstandings can exist, not only among us, but among Britons as well.
From Las Vegas, the World Series moves on to Wellington in New Zealand, where rugby's more than just a game, it's a lifelong passion. Until then, we'll leave you with scenes from the USA Sevens, with congratulations to the winners.
Here comes a lovely run by Africa, out wide to Vernicott, and there he is in at the corner. South Africa have done it again in Las Vegas. They have won by 14 points to 7.